An Ebenezer is something or some place of remembrance where it's to help you, to cause you to remember something. That's what an Ebenezer is. So these are our Ebenezers. And I can't tell you how much joy it brings me to, like I said, I kind of had that vision of if I make these, my kids are going to pull them off the shelf and read them. And they do. Good morning, you guys. My name is Annie. I am so passionate about being a mama disciple, discipling my children up in the Lord, showing them what it looks like to follow my example as I follow Christ. So with that, first and foremost, I can't give something that I don't have, right? So I need to be pouring into my own relationship and walk with the Lord. And then I think it's from there that it gets to trickle down to my 5. No, I was going to say littles, but gosh, some of them, my oldest is 8 now. He's not feeling so little anymore. So with that, something that came in my own life that I'm excited to share with you guys about today. I was feeling the need to be discipled myself. If I was going to disciple, well, then I need to be discipled. So a few years back, I got to ask, I have a dear friend, I asked her mom. Her mom was someone I really looked up to and admired. And so I asked her to consider discipling me. And she graciously said yes. And within one of our first meetings together, she asked me if I'd ever heard of a God box. And my first thought was, do you mean that thing that was in the tabernacle that God went inside of with those birds on top? And she's like, no. She goes, here, let me show you. So Maria disappears down the hallway. We were on the phone and she disappears. She comes back and she has this box. And she opens it and she starts taking things out. And within this box were all kinds of things. They were little mementos or little notes or little photographs. And as she's pulling each of these things out of the box, she's telling me the story behind them. The story of when God did something, the story when God showed them something, the story when God did this miracle, or even just did this really little thing, but was so important and significant to her. She even pulled out little things that had my best friend's handwriting on from when she was like 5. And I'm looking at this box that contains a lifetime, literally a lifetime, Maria's, of stories of God's faithfulness. And she is remembering the littlest of details because of these little mementos that she had within this box. And she said, Annie, this box is my Ebenezer. It's this box that I can go to that if I need to be reminded, or if I need to be encouraged, or if I just want to worship, I get to come to this box and remember what God has done in my life. And I'm looking at this box with a, jaw hanging down, like, this is amazing. And she encouraged me to consider making my own God box. And I didn't need much more encouragement after that phone call. I'm like, heck yes, I am on the bandwagon. So from there, I love stories. And so I started writing these down on little 3x5 cards. And as I'm working on these, I get a few 3x5 cards in, but I realized that for myself, this wasn't something that I thought was really going to work. I was looking at these, my tiny little, chicken scratch on these cards. Like, I feel like we're never going to read these. So I started brainstorming, how could I make my own God box, maybe in a more Annie Bell kind of way? And it hit me. My family, we are readers. We love books. We love stories. And the light bulb went off of, if I make this into a book, my kids are going to be ripping this off the shelf to read these. And so the pursuit, the journey began. I got to spend a year or more just reflecting and remembering. I asked God to bring to remembrance anything and everything he could from my life, from my family's life. And as these stories, these moments came to mind, I wrote them down. I typed them down. And soon I had enough to print off a book. These are our Bell Clan Ebenezers. These are our God boxes. I have 2 volumes so far. And these are stories. These are moments from my life from my husband's life, from our family's life, of when God showed up, did something special, whether it was a big miracle to a little moment where he grew my love and trust of him, where he showed me his kindness that maybe it wouldn't have meant anything to anyone else, but it meant something to me. And it was just this other moment of, God, you are so real and you are so good and you are so kind and I love you so much. That's what these stories are. Now, to make a quick clarification, some of you might be like, hey, Ebenezer, isn't that a guy from like the Christmas Carol or something? Yes, that is his name. And what an Ebenezer is, there's these stories in the Bible where Joshua or someone, when they in the Bible, they stacked rocks in a place where God did something. And those rocks, when they looked back and saw those, they remembered what God did. So that's what an Ebenezer is. An Ebenezer is something or some place of remembrance, where to help you, to cause you to remember something. That's what an Ebenezer is. So these are our Ebenezers. And I can't tell you how much joy it brings me to, like I said, I kind of had that vision of, if I make these, my kids are going to pull them off the shelf and read them. And they do. They pull these off and read them all the time. We even have a tradition when it's somebody's birthday, at that dinner, we pull out our Ebenezers and we read some of their special stories when the Lord did things in their lives. So these are continuing to grow in our family. And I wanted to tell you guys about these because again, I've kind of poured into my own relationship with the Lord to give that to my children. God has been showing me we have these beautiful spiritual practices, right, to grow in our relationship with him. And there's so many, from reading the Bible to praying to worship to fasting, these things that we know as like the spiritual disciplines. I feel like in my own life, something I'm coming to see is, I feel like remembering is this either forgotten or very underemphasized spiritual discipline. The Lord talks so much about remembering in the Bible. He says, remember, 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 don't forget, tie this on your wrist, put this up in your home to remember. And I've also, in just my own reading, I've been seeing how often so much of the fall or the struggles come from people simply not remembering. So remembering has become something very precious and dear and important in me in my own relationship with the Lord, and to the level of spiritual discipline that I just even try to spend certain moments and special times in remembering. And it's something that I'm trying to encourage in my own children's walk, because I just see the fruit and the benefit of it, of just remembering these special moments with the Lord and what he has done, not only from the beginning of time and remembering all of those stories of where we all came from, to the here and now and what God is doing in our lives. So these are our Ebenezers, which I am very excited to get to share some with you. I am planning on reading hopefully many of these to you guys to give you a taste of what these Ebenezers look like for me. But I'd encourage you, what would it look like to put together an Ebenezer, either for your own personal life or for the life of your family? Would it be making a book so your family could sit down and read it? Would it be a box like Maria had, where you have pictures and little trinkets and little moments? Would it be a photo album with special specific pictures? Would it be a jar? What could an Ebenezer look like for your family? It takes time, it takes effort, it takes intentionality, but I encourage you to consider it, because the benefit that these and the life and the joy that these have brought to my family have been worth every minute. And I'm so excited. I can't wait to get to read some of these to you guys. All right, we'll see you. Bye.